Senator Merkley.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And some of my colleagues have already emphasized the work on Alzheimer's. And it's my understanding that no existing grants have been canceled, but some of the advisory council meetings necessary for grants to go forward at some of the 14 or at the 35 Alzheimer's disease research centers have not been held, and so there is kind of an interruption of grant funding.
So, Senator, since I've been in office about 2 months, I've been working to turn on all of the light switches I can find, including getting the committee meetings going. I think we're now caught up. If not, it's very close, and we're on track. I think to support that research.
Well, I really appreciate that and support that. I think you're hearing bipartisan support. Everyone here at this table has friends. Everyone in the audience has friends and family who are affected by Alzheimer's, and certainly it's a terrible way to finish the arc of your life, drifting into a state of malfunction. So I turn on every light switch you can, as you say you're doing. I certainly appreciate that. I wanted to turn to the role of nurses. It's maybe a particular interest in that my wife is a nurse, so I hear a lot about the healthcare system from her point of view and her colleagues' point of view. But you would agree that nurses are a key part of our healthcare system?
Absolutely, yes.
And NIH has engaged in research that is related to the role of nurses, including the impact of patient-to-nurse staffing ratios. That would be an important area of research?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, one reason I particularly want to highlight that is what I have witnessed in some of the major healthcare systems is that as so many baby boom health practitioners are retiring and so many baby boomers need more health care, the pressure becomes for a higher and higher patient-to-staff ratio, which then produces burnout, which means that more nurses go on call rather than doing a full work week or retire, accentuating the problem. And so really trying to address the working conditions for nurses is in the interest of keeping more nurses working and therefore have a productive cycle rather than an unproductive cycle. So that research is important. Research also nurses are engaged in interventions that improve the quality of life for many patients, including cancer survivors. Sometimes doctors are a little more on the engineering side, but in terms of the bedside to bedside and follow-up, nurses play a key role. You'd agree with that?
Yes, I would. I mean, I just say personally, as a medical student, I learned at least as much from the nurses that I had the privilege to work with and as I did from many of the doctors.
So this is why I'm confused about your decision to eliminate, your proposal to eliminate the National Institute of Nursing Research, because such important work is done through that institute. And could you give us a little insight on that?
So I'll just say, again, the restructuring decisions are something that are done in collaboration with Congress. I mean, I looked up the history of this, and Congress has weighed in many times. And there's a process which I'm committed to following to make that in collaboration with Congress. But the substantive question, how should the research that you've outlined and where and should it be done? The key question to me is not the structure of the NIH, but the collaborative nature of the NIH. That research needs to get done because it advances health and well-being of American people. Where exactly it happens is less important to me than that it gets done. And I'm committed to making sure that research like that does get supported.
So essentially what I hear you saying is you put forward a proposal to eliminate the National Institute of Nursing Research, but you understand that restructuring is something that should be done in collaboration with Congress. That actually is the way the Constitution is designed, so I appreciate your making that point. And I'm sure folks here will be very engaged in that conversation. So in terms of any concern that anyone might have, if Congress funds decides to fund, and the bill is signed by the President, the National Institute of Nursing Research, we don't have to be worried that suddenly those funds will be impounded and it will be shut down.
Senator, a lot of nursing research, including the things you outlined, are important for advancing the health needs of the American people. Understanding the nursing ratios, for instance, that's something I actually studied earlier in my career. So I understand why it's such an important question. So yeah, I absolutely support that research.
But my question was, if Congress funds it by law, we don't have to worry about the administration shutting it down despite the fact that we have funded it by law.
My job is to make sure that the funds that the Congress allocates for the National Institute of Health are translated into improvements into research that improves the health and well-being of the American people. I'm going to make sure that that money is spent, whatever you all allocate to me.
Thank you.